Welcome everybody to MogTalk episode, 249 now? Saturday, November 20th, and 2021. If you're unfamiliar with MogTalk, it's a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community, discussing everything from Savage Raiding and Chocobo Racing. And we have two wonderful guests on, and I'll have them introduce themselves. And we'll start with Anonymoose. Anonymoose, tell everybody who you are, man.
I am Anonymoose. I like lore. That's pretty much it. Everything that I could possibly say about me descends from I just started talking about lore one day and never stopped, and I just ended up here. This was before there was a forum. This was, there was nothing to it at the time, and so I never know how to introduce myself because it's just kind of like, okay, so I write some stuff from Gamer Escape. I edited a book for Square Enix once. I'm in the forums a lot. Like, what? I don't know. If you know why you invited me, you probably know better than I do what I do.
I just, for your good looks, dude. That's really it.
Good enough reason, dude. Shoot.
Well, let's go ahead and have our next guest introduce himself. Pyro, if you don't mind.
Hello, I'm Pyromancer, and I stream on Twitch, and I yell at the game, and I yell at chat sometimes, and I've been trying to yell less, but sometimes I yell more. Okay. And here we are, and thanks for having me.
Of course, that's great. That's great. So if you guys haven't guessed what the show's about today, it's about talking about this journey that we're following Pyro's journey basically here as he goes through the Final Fantasy XIV storyline. We had you on when you first started playing as the intro player coming from WoW, and then we had another one after you finished and talked about a little bit of Heavensward, but mostly finishing up A Realm Reborn. Now we're here, and you're at patch 4.3. Is that correct?
Just ended 4.3, about to start 4.4. Yeah.
Okay.
Just about to get into the prep for Shadowbringers.
Yeah. I think that's around the time it starts to close out there with Stormblood. There's probably elements, I can't remember well enough, but there's elements that might bleed in. And that's why I have Moose on here to help me kind of lead this conversation and have these thoughtful discussions about lore and everything, because that's something that we know you love, Pyro. And I figured we'd have you come on for this third episode. Before we get into Endwalker, this is the last one we can really do.
Yeah.
Before the expansion comes out. Yeah. So hopefully later down the road, we will revisit all of this when you finish Endwalker and have like a pretty big talk about Shadowbringers, Endwalker, Final Fantasy XIV, because that's the story. We're going to be literally caught up. Are you excited to be completely caught up to the story, by the way, Pyro?
Yes and no. I think yes, because I'm very excited to get to the Shadowbringer stuff. I know that most people have been very excited for me to get there, because that's where a lot of the themes that I really enjoy out of fantasy really kick off heavily. And no at the same time, because I don't want to be stuck in the waiting room like everybody else, being stuck in that several month waiting room until the next patch comes and you get that next bit of story is going to be, it's a thing that I haven't had to do for a while. But that anticipation and excitement that it builds is always a good thing too. So yes and no.
Well, I mean, like, I imagine, like, when you finish up and you kind of get to the end, then you could get into the real nitty-gritty, like, digging in deep lore, trying to make connections, Charlie Day with his wall kind of situation, right?
Yeah, I'll have plenty of wall space to do that here soon.
Awesome.
And yeah, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people want me to dive into things deeply now, and you just can't. You have to respect. You have to respect the progression of the story and not talk about things when you don't really know too much about them. So I throw out ideas about what I think is going to happen as it's coming up, but yeah, generally that's how I feel about that.
Yeah. Well, just to make sure everyone watching, chat, Moose, everybody, our limit here is 4.3. So just ignore Shadowbringers completely. Lead up to Shadowbringers, all that stuff just doesn't exist right now. We're in the world before all that happened, right? Yeah. We probably should be
Can't believe you're doing this to me.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
It had to be 4.4, like my jam.
No, 4 point. Yeah, your jam. Your jams. You can't get into it, dude. You gotta wait.
We're coming back for 4.4. Like, we're
We'll have a show next week.
We're gonna talk. We'll talk about Shadowbringers too. Shadowbringers is great, but 4.4,
Pretty damn good.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. Like, I'm not gonna say like the whole patch is like this. You know, we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
There's a scene I like a lot. That's all. It's just a very important scene for me.
Okay.
As a person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but okay.
You start like playing it, and all of a sudden, Moose just shows up on your screen in the story or something.
I'm gonna be fighting like a moose with like a mask on. The whole like. Wait, is that the Anonymoose? Oh, jeez. Never mind.
Yeah. No. Well, all right. So, we'll probably be talking about like, imagine Stormblood came out and we finished 4.0 that day. Pyro can kind of dig a little bit further past that, but I think I'm going to stay behind that 4.0, that line right there, just to make sure I don't, make any connections going forward from there.
Sure.
So we didn't really get to finish up. Well, you know what? I want to talk a little bit about you, Pyro, because I am very interested in your journey in Final Fantasy XIV so far, because it's been a little bit since you came on, and lots has happened. You've basically became a streamer as your main career right now, right?
Yeah. So I don't work at Best Buy anymore, which is why I worked before. Before I worked there, I actually did full-time streaming for a year, which I'm glad that I did because it really gave me like a test run of how it was going to work. But this time around, instead of streaming for 200 people, I'm streaming for 5,000 or 6,000, and it's kind of insane, and I don't think that I'm really used to it. I don't know if you get used to it. I guess some people probably do after a while. But yeah, I stream this game a couple times a week and spend time in the Discord hanging out with people that are subs and stuff like that. And outside of that, I just kind of enjoy my free time as best as I can. And this game has really enabled me to adopt a lifestyle that I'm still extremely thankful for, and it's so incredibly rare that it's a thing. So it's been stable and it's been kind to me, and we're not even at the best part yet. So I'm excited. I think it'll go well. I think it'll continue going well.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident it will. But that being said, have you had any? Has WoW still been entering your life and everything since you started?
I don't know if I can really ever fucking truly escape WoW, because even when I don't play it and I don't read about it and I don't even have the shit installed,
right.
It still comes to my chat all the time. Any time that something ever happens with WoW, I hear about it. Have you watched Preach's 9.2 reaction? Did you watch 9.2? What do you think? Did you see the stuff about Bobby Kotick threatening to have someone killed? And I'm just like, yeah, fucking. At this point, you guys, we've seen so much stuff. I feel like this is basically like the liberation for Doma. I'm one of these motherfuckers hanging around. I've seen so much shit that I'm not even surprised anymore. like Yatsuyu could walk into the camp and slaughter 5 people and I wouldn't even be shocked. Bobby Kotick could be the man behind 9/11. I wouldn't even be shocked at this point, dude.
Jeez.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's fucked up for sure, dude. Well, I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad that whole dive into Final Fantasy XIV has really worked out for you, and it's still working out for you, and you still have a lot to go. Enjoy and absorb until you're hitting that hey, I'm at the same level. I'm guessing the same point in story, right, and everything with everyone else. But let's go back a little bit and finish up on some of our Heavensward talk. I can't remember exactly where we ended off, but I guess we could just kind of hit the tail end of it.
Yeah.
So what are your general thoughts? Just Heavensward, the first expansion after coming out of A Realm Reborn. How did it sit with you after finishing?
Yeah,
it
that
up?
game's fucking nuts. One of the best games I've ever played my entire life. Narratively, amazing. The music was amazing. Pacing was amazing. The fights were amazing. The raids, the fucking trials, they were literally all amazing. When they say it's critically acclaimed, it's not a fucking joke. Like, it's one of the most exceptional gaming experiences on any platform in any genre that I've ever had, period.
Well, fuck.
Like, Heavensward is, I said it in my video. I said it when I finished it. Like, that expansion is a literal fucking masterpiece. Like, I don't have any real criticisms for it. I mean, I cried several times, some for being happy, some for being sad. I felt bad for characters like Nidhogg that, you know, historically aren't given the type of attention necessary to gain almost any level of empathy with someone that's that hell-bent on vengeance. You almost never get that kind of insight, and so to see that kind of development not happening only for the main characters and side characters like Arshafont and Nisael and Amaric, but also seeing also getting it's like your first real fucking like dose of true insight on the bad guys in a way that isn't presented quite the same in A Realm Reborn. Yeah, it was amazing.
Okay. Moose, does that like kind of make sense for what you understand with Heavensward and everything else? How his reaction is to it?
I mean, yeah, I mean it's like one of my favorite games, and it like I mean, take where I am into consideration. Usually, I have to deal with the big war between Heavensward and Stormblood. So to not have to have them pit against each other and be able to celebrate them independently for their strengths and what they brought to the table is kind of a unique experience in and of itself. So to just be able to sit here and praise it like that, yeah, I agree with everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Stormblood as its own standalone experience is very worth talking about as well. And I'll have plenty to say once we're on that.
Okay, sure, yeah, and that's more fresh in your head, right? That's because you just kind of wrapped that up not too long ago.
Yeah, that's really fresh for me.
Yeah, but in Heavensward, I guess what was something in that whole expansion? What I mean, was it Nidhogg that stood out the most for you, or was there something else? Like if you had to put it on one thing?
I don't think I can really put it on one thing. You know, I think the biggest moments are probably going to be some of the most commonly referred to moments for most people. Like the tie back in with Azael, how she helps us in Azys Law and sacrifices herself then, and helps us, you know, to escape the Imperials in that moment alongside Racefelger. Like that. The fact that she's able to help us in that kind of way, I wasn't really expecting Azael and Arshafont to kind of to have any impact really after that. So getting to the very end with the whole Nidhogg thing, and as emotionally driven as that is, especially with the involvement of Astinian at that point, like having like the prospect of trying to rip these dragon eyes off of somebody that we care a lot about, and the fear that we might not be able to do it without him dying, or we might not be able to do it at all. And then I think that moment when the camera pans up to Azael standing there and helping you, like I just fucking lost it. Like that is probably like my single most memorable moment from the expansion. Because even though the whole plot with like what I really like that they kind of do in this game is they use and they do it really well is they use like the city or area to kind of represent the general idea, and that's done very well with Ishgard and how the Holy See is like manipulating their citizens without them knowing, and how this like underlying secrecy is literally feeding the vengeance and hatred that's kept both sides suffering for so long. Like that how that aspect is presented, and then how they use individual characters to present and overcome those barriers is so fucking good, dude. Like the way they use Azael and Astinian to illustrate that kind of like the person who wants to bring the good but just doesn't really like have quite the right methods, and then the person who just can't bring himself to believe in it because he's part of the problem. Like seeing that clash and that kind of microcosm of honestly kind of like Shiva and Nidhogg in a sense, like seeing that represented among the characters alongside the grander narrative it's so well done. It's so well paced that it really paints the picture, what, you know, in a really digestible way. So
that's shit, dude. Like, you're saying literally all the correct things about the story and all the conversations we've had in the past. And it's just so exciting to like hear all these thoughts kind of come back. And you're articulate, like I can't articulate anything apparently, right? But you're doing a great job at it. So thanks. Holy shit, dude. All right, so main story. What about did you do any of the side content with like the trials and stuff?
Oh, all
like
of
that?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I do all of it. If there's a raid or a trial to have been done, or a dungeon, it has been done.
Okay. So yeah. A lot of people were excited for the trials at the time. That was like a huge deal.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts like after doing the trials?
They're pretty sick. I think the Warring Triad was a really cool like trial series that I felt was nicely presented as in a kind of that expansion on like what is that threat that Thornton was potentially trying to use as empowerment. What does that actually look like? And getting to go in and see those bosses like Sephiroth actually display the powers that they wield, and then later on learning a little bit further about their interactions with the Allagons. Like I like the lore with that as well, but I like the side story stuff for the trial series. That was neat. The Thornton fight was fucking sick. That's probably like my number 2 moment in the whole expansion.
Yeah.
Is that confrontation with Thornton. I didn't like. You start to get the hinting of like, you know, what's going on. You know, you get the impression that he's obviously going to do this summoning, but you don't really know what to expect out of it. So when you get this fucking 24 foot tall fucking steel giant of retribution standing there, like that was fucking crazy. That was intimidating. It was exciting. And just the whole build up to it, you know, like the music that they play, like as the fight starts, like the intermission, like the transitions between phases was so fucking sick. Like when all 12 knights surround you and like they try to cast like their ultimate and it still doesn't kill you, like, oh man. It was just, that fight is so fucking sick, dude. I can't wait till they do ultimate, because I know I haven't done ultimates before, but I will be interested in doing that.
There's a good chance by the time that you'll be like I'm not completely caught up with every side quest of everything, but like, you know, you'll be caught up with the main story quest and you'll be able to get into ultimate, and you'll be able to see, and that's kind of the beauty of what they do with ultimates, is they kind of let you relive kind of your past experiences in the story inside this boss fight and throw it all kind of together. And that's what we expect them to do. So we're all pretty fucking hyped.
I think it'll, dude. What I think would be kind of cool is if they, if the ultimate included like, what happened to Thornton, like what abilities would Thornton get, or what transformation or something like that would he undergo if he did get those powers from the Warring Triad. And like getting to fight the empowered versions of Thornton from like each of the 3 Warring Triad members would be fucking sick. Like getting to see that actually come to fruition would be so cool, because I was genuinely like scared. I was like, dude, if Thornton gets these, we're fucked. Like that's it. Like we don't have any chance. These primals are way fucking stronger than the most of the primals that we've seen. Speaking of which, the whale primal Bismarck, terrible fight. terrible fight. And unfortunately, I think it was on that boss that I made the mistake of not looting the spanner and then leaving. I pulled a Zeppla, and then we had to go back and farm it more. And then Ravana was really cool. That was a pretty sick trial. And another depiction of a primal that's summoned not necessarily out of fear or necessity for survival, but more out of the desire to expand and colonize, just quite literally doing what the hive mind does. So I quite like the trials out of Heavensward. Anything from Ravana, Bismarck's all right. To Shiva, to fighting Nidhogg would be, I guess is Nidhogg a trial? I guess Nidhogg Extreme is a trial, isn't it?
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah,
I've never fought. I don't think I've actually done the extremes out of Heavensward yet. I don't think I have. At least not extreme. I don't think I ever did extreme. Anyway, but yeah. You get the point. The trials were good.
Okay, good. Yeah, when I was Bismarck, it kind of reminded me like jumping on the back of the whale and popping the like pimples on the back of it. For some reason that was Deathwing, man. And I was just like,
it was a very toned down Deathwing, but yeah.
Yeah.
At least he doesn't roll. Oh God.
Oh, the PTSD on that. My raid group when I was playing back then, dude, Jesus Christ.
For me, it's not even like I didn't even play the game back then. So for people that don't know what we're talking about, in World of Warcraft, there was a boss called Spine of Deathwing where you climbed up the back of this dragon, and you like defeated like pustules and segments of his armor until you got up to his neck and you engaged the final fight. But if you stood on if more people in the group were standing on the right side than the left side, or vice versa, for too long, then Deathwing would roll, and everybody that was not standing in lava on there would fall off. So I'm very glad that it's not quite like Deathwing.
Yeah.
My PTSD comes from trying to solo that shit, because when you solo, you have to run left and right and left and right and left and right the whole time because you're the only person. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, fuck WoW. No.
Kind of true.
But yeah, no. So the trials were definitely pretty standout. I think most people would kind of agree with you on Bismarck. It's just it was something for them to try, and every once in a while you'll probably notice like they do something, and it's kind of like them trying something. And
yeah, you don't want them to all be the fucking same, If you never try anything new, then you'll never, it'll just feel this static.
Yeah.
So,
and you can see them trying stuff in the raids as well. So that does kind of bring us to the raids a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you... tell me. I kind of want to hear Moose talk for a second here. So I'm gonna have Moose. What do you think's going through Pyro's head right now about the raid story in Heavensward?
The raid story in Heavensward. Are we talking 8-man raid or 24-man raid?
Oh, the 8-man. Sorry, not the 24-man raid. Yeah.
Okay, so we're thinking about the 8-man raid. We're thinking about
it's Alexander, right?
Yeah, it's Alexander.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't know. Like we end up on the same frequency, like a coin toss of the time. And I have like very passionate opinions about time travel stories in general.
Yeah.
So Alexander, like, I mean, do you have strong opinions about the use of time travel in Alexander?
Yeah. I have moderate opinions. Yeah.
Okay.
I generally don't like time travel just because it's very confusing. Same. And I did all of Alexander, and then I went back and read like a synopsis of the raid, and I was like, wait a second, there's 2 Alexanders? I'm so fucking confused. Like it was good. It was good. But it was, time travel's confusing.
I genuinely find that like time travel stories either cheapen the rules or cheapen the world by making it smaller or more rigid. And I appreciated that Alexander found a way to kind of walk a tightrope there.
Yeah.
By not cheapening the world and not cheapening the timeline.
Yeah.
So what really is going through your head when you think Alexander? What's the first thing that pops up?
Music. The music was super good. The fights were decently fun. As far as the story goes, it was one of my favorite individual stories of the game. It made me cry like a fucking baby at the end, just because it's so symbolic and just so beautiful between the two of them getting to share eternity. Even though it sounds nice now, it'll probably be awful in a million years, but they'll find out. But anyway, it was good. I mean, I did Alexander in a single stream. That was like a 15-hour day.
Damn.
And because I was like, yeah, it'll take like 2.5 hours, right? And then no, it didn't. But as far as the time traveling stuff goes, like it was kind of it was confusing, but I did like that, like kind of like what you're saying, Moose. It cheapen it didn't get us out of anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like the time travel it wasn't like the fucking random event that probably shouldn't have happened that somehow got us out of like this terrible main storyline thing. It was kind of its own contained thing. And in the moment I had trouble following it, but I did have to kind of read like an outline after the fact so that I could truly understand what had happened. But generally it was presented in a pretty digestible way. My experience from other games, time travel stuff it's like time travel in WoW is it's so bad. But so yeah, I'm glad I didn't go too far and too crazy in this game.
Okay. How'd you feel about the goblins?
They're pretty funny. Like the part where they come and they're like holding explosives, like threatening us with it, and then we just shoot it. I'm sitting there thinking, like, why don't they just fucking cap that thing? And then oh hey, look at that. Right. She decides to. So they were goofy, they were funny. Getting to like this game has a really cool way of like getting you to care about creatures that aren't like you, you know. I think obviously the whole concept of the beast tribes is like one of the big reinforcements of that premise. And so getting to interact with the goblins and like getting to see more of what they value and what's important to them and how they spend their time, like how is their brain wired, like what do goblins do, and you know, them being tinkerers and engineers, getting to see them kind of interact with such a magnificent thing as Alexander was also really cool. And getting to kind of see like these goblins kind of marvel, not necessarily like in the machine itself, but more so just like the concept of like the ingenuity of like the machine, and like they have like a deeper appreciation for it, which is like it's just a different mindset that we get to look at. And obviously then the way they talk is super cute, you know, like the way that they'll say, you know,
there's mixed opinions about that. I think some people didn't really appreciate the over comedic effects of the goblins in there.
There's a couple parts where I'm like, I wish you just fucking speak kind of normally, because I don't know what you just said. But I think you're talking about a bridge, so I'm gonna go over the fucking bridge. Right. But most for the most part, it was pretty damn good. Alexander was one of those raids that really reinforced yet again this belief that I have, and it seems pretty apparent to me that as they develop this game and as they have open plots and closed plots, that they're the creators of this game are definitely reinforcing a certain type of thought process, as far as like digesting emotion. I think is one of the biggest ones, like just handling it, and like what are the acceptable ways to handle that, and how, you know, how that affects us. And when I got out of Alexander, having seen the end of it, it was just another one of those moments of like, damn dude, like I can tell just what I just did was just crafted with a lot of love, and there's a lot of meaning baked into that story that I just saw finish. And that was I don't know, it was special. I feel like Alexander's one of those raids that really made me feel like that. Void Ark is not.
Okay.
So I guess we can
hit Void Ark. Yeah. So what was your issues with Void Ark?
I didn't. So Void Ark I liked because I don't know a ton about the ancient mage civilizations, like the Mach. So getting to go into something developed by them was pretty sick. I believe they created the Void Ark, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I guess that yeah. And so that was neat. Getting to see more of the Void Scent was pretty cool. And that's the we're fighting like with Diabolos and shit throughout that raid, aren't we? He's like yeah. That's that one. Like the thing is, like, you can tell it didn't stick with me as much. Like that raid very much so felt more like a let's get in there and like take out the bad guys kind of raid, which the Alliance raids so far have kind of tended to feel that way. There's a lot of story delivery that happens there, and so I have notes on the whole thing, but like thinking back to it off the top of my head, nothing particularly stands out. Like it was a cool raid. but not the most memorable thing.
Okay.
But
You didn't care about the Sky Pirates?
The Sky Pirates were just like, no, I don't really care. No.
You didn't care about the
No.
cat?
The which cat?
Catchy.
Oh yeah, you mean? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, see, you see what I mean? Like there was some dude. I have to go back and read the notes because I'm gonna be honest, I can't even really remember what happened in that raid. Like I remember they were trying to steal. I can't even fucking remember. They had like a big stone or something, and they were like trying to get the stone. Diabolo stole the stone out of the ship to summon a thing. I can't remember.
That's all right. I mean, it's hard, like, after you're going through, like, the main story quest and everything else, and then you just have this other story that's just, like, kind of, like...
It's kind of there, just on the side.
Yeah. It's hard to get into it.
And you know, it's funny. When you said the cat, the first thing that popped into my head was that fucking cat from Alexander. And it's funny. It's funny because the first time I saw the fucking cat, I looked at my chat and I was like, that fucking cat's the primal. And everyone's like laughing in the chat, and I was just like goofing around. I'm like, that fucking cat right there, like that's the primal. And then the cat started to show up more, and I was like, guys, I'm starting to fucking think like that cat's literally part of this thing. Like, what the fuck's going on? And then at the very end we find out like, oh, like it actually kind of is. Like, what the fuck? So when you said cat, I was like, oh, that cat. Oh wait, there was another cat that talks. I forgot about that one. The one that stands on two legs.
The Alexander cat has importance in the community for very many reasons. But
it turned into its own self-contained meme on my channel.
Oh, yeah, I see. Is that...
A fucking black cat. Ma, there's a weird fucking cat outside. It looks like grandma, the fucking thing. I don't want it to pick a fight with Lucy. It's okay, Lucy. It's okay. You know the video.
I forgot about that video, man.
Is that even a fucking cat? Like, motherfucker. Yeah, that's what it's. And this like a viewer made that, and they put like a yellow "ma" on the fucking silhouette of the cat, or on just a little cutout of the cat, and I was like, that's a fucking Twitch emote.
There you go, done. Yeah. If you guys haven't subbed to Pyro, go ahead and do it right now so you can get that emote. Give it.
Hey, actually, if you follow, you get a free emote. So
Really?
if you follow, I have an emote here. Maybe I can show you guys in the Discord. It's called Keksetsu, or that's a version of KekW that someone created, and I
have to look here on my phone. I can't because I'm like cropping Discord right now. I can't.
Right, if you pull it, then it'll. Yeah.
So I can look at it on my phone though. Give me 1 second. I'll take a look.
No worries. It's a fucking KekW Gosetsu emote. And
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You don't have to sub. You can just follow.
Yeah, do it, guys. And 10K subs is a bunny, apparently, right?
Yeah, yes, I might have made a mistake, dude. So yesterday, I was like playing, and I was like, fuck it, I'll play a bunny if we get to 10K. And I don't think we'll get there, but we'll see. But then like 30 minutes later, I was like, yeah, this might have been too low a number again. We might need to. It's kind of insane, dude. There's like some cultists out there. Like I thought the Lala cult was crazy, and then now these people want me to play a bunny, and they're like,
they're crazy.
It's crazy.
No, I was doing a World Race charity event, and I was like, fuck, I'm out of incentives here. Let's see, I'll just raise the incentive by $2,000-$3,000. Bunny girl, dress up as a bunny. No, not bunny girl, a cat girl. I'll do a cosplay as a cat girl. 1 second later, someone donated like $3,000.
Oh my god!
So I would be a cat girl. So don't doubt.
The bunny people have been. It's been stewing for a long time. Believe it or not, since 2010. Because when Yoshida first. Since the launch. No, because when Yoshida-san first came onto the game, one of the first things he did was this player poll where, he interviewed everyone about, what's really important to you, what would bother you if we change, what would bother you if we didn't change. And he was like, well, if let's say we added another race, what would you want them to be like? And one of the examples was, like another mammalian race, like the Viera. And all of a sudden, the statistics just whoosh right into we need Viera in this game. And he's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have name dropped the Viera. So we get up to Heavensward launch, and everyone's like, yeah, new race is gonna be the bunnies. We all said Viera, and we got the lizard girls and the lizard boys, and everyone was like, where the hell are the bunnies?
Yeah.
He's like, it makes more sense when they're not there.
So yeah, and then it was years and years and years of this is gonna be the bunnies, it's not the bunnies, and then we only got the bunny girls. And it was like, people would ask about bunny boys, and Yoshida's like, I don't know, they're kind of weird. Maybe I'll think about it. And then when they finally happened, it was just like, there's no coming back from it now. Like everyone's too excited.
Yeah, it's
10 years in the making.
Craze. Yeah. So all because he started with name dropping them. Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, and this is also coming after, like, when did Final Fantasy 12 come out? What was that? That was like
2006?
6 somewhere. So it's just a few years after that, and that was a huge thing with that game, right? VR was huge.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like, you look at a trailer, and it was like bunny girls like everywhere in the trailer, and
oh Jesus.
Yeah. But anyways, Heavensward, no bunnies exist yet.
No.
So when you're going through that story, I am curious though, Moose. We talked about all the kind of main topics here, and Heavensward in general. Do you have any questions for Pyro that you would want to ask him about it?
Can you define, like, in terms of where things might be going, or what he thinks about things we've seen?
What you're curious about, what's going in Pyro's head about Heavensward?
If you can think of something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to. What I usually do in these scenes is I have this kind of like background processing going of like, what kind of seed can I plant that this discussion is going to blossom into something later while you're playing, and you're gonna come back and you're gonna have a passionate opinion about something that's gonna make chat be like, yeah, talk about that. So like that's the thing I'm always trying to look for is like, what can I like think of as
a little
without giving anything away
nugget.
Too,
can I put
right?
right there?
I got a good one. Okay. So one thing that Heavensward and Stormblood, they both do really well, but don't talk about at all, is lay out kind of a sensible path for what the Ascians are doing.
Right.
Because their plan went sideways in 2.0. They don't have a plan right now. They're course correcting. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So when you look at the Ascians trying to fix this situation that they've been put in, that you're still alive.
Right.
What is coming up for you in terms of what do you think the Ascians are even like trying to accomplish that their plan is so easily malleable and they're not all that surprised that it goes sideways so much? Like, what do you think of Elidibus and what he's working on, how he operates?
Damn, that's a really good question. I mean, Elidibus has commented on the way that the others were acting before, as far as them like trying to rush the rejoining. And I think that was in reference to La Habrea and Igiorm, or that might have actually been about Nabriales originally. But I mean, yeah, Elidibus is specifically pretty interesting because he obviously is the emissary. When he was talking to Varys in a recent cutscene, he mentioned how he doesn't really give a shit what he does to the other Ascians. He's like, whatever you want to do to the black-robed Ascians, like my black-robed brothers, like, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm going to have my methods, and you're going to have to kind of trust me. But then again, Varys, I mean, I don't know, dude. He's so fucking shady still. Like he dodges Varys's questions when Varys is like trying to figure out his intent. He never really fully exposes or answers the questions directly. As far as like what they're doing, I mean, like, are you referring to, like, I guess it's so broad for me, I guess. I'm not really sure.
I can narrow it down a little bit by giving like an example, I think. Heavensward doesn't do a lot to highlight what Thornton was. Like, if you think about it, it starts to become very clear, but like, there's no cutscene where they tell you that this whole thing was they just wanted Thornton to build the Holy Ishgardian Empire and throw it against Garlemald so that there would be a Calamity level war. Like, they lost their opportunity for a Calamity level war in 2.0, and now they kind of lost control of the whole primal thing. We had that 2.3 cutscene where they're like, wow, even Ramuh's just like, yeah, you go, dude, this sucks. And then you're like, all right, so let's go to the north. Let's go to the Northlands. Let's inspire new gods. And then Shiva comes up, and he's trying to, like, Elidibus is giving the echo to a Sahagin in the background. And all of a sudden, Thornton's like, yeah, no, I got a plan. And you think, well, you're just totally playing into the Ascian's plan.
Right.
And then it turns out that his whole, like, be an easily controlled empire builder that can make something that can challenge Garlemald enough that they'll have a Calamity level war is he's actually going to whip out Nidhogg's lost eye, forge something capable of holding the power of the Triad, kill the Ascians, and probably maybe even stomp Garlemald. So, like, he maybe, if we didn't kill him, had a shot.
Right.
So, like, if you look at the Ascian's plan now, going into Stormblood, you're in 4.3, so you've seen a little about what Elidibus is doing with
Varys.
I
mean, he's definitely trying to set up a war between us and and the
so,
Imperials
like,
right now.
And Stormblood likewise doesn't do a lot to highlight that Elidibus.
That's what's happening.
Like, Elidibus's overt words are all like, no, just these are temporary losses, but think of what you stand to gain later. The Empire's like totally going to conquer the world, and you can kill my black robe friends if you want. But it's, to us as the players, kind of obvious that he's trying to set up a Calamity level war on some front, right?
Right.
So, like, what is your opinion kind of on that unspoken part of the story? Like, where is all that headed?
That's a good question.
Maybe something to think on.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
It's okay to not
Moose,
know.
you fucked up, dude. You know what? You had too good of a question. You need to tone it down.
Tone it down?
No.
Tone it down?
I mean, it's hard to, I mean, that's something that I think about, like, what are they going for? But as far as, like, it seems like you're really honing in on, like, the unspoken, like, kind of background methods by which it's happening. I
don't know is a pretty valid thought for this, because, like, I'm putting myself in Heavensward brain, and the only thought that I could figure out in Heavensward was, my opinion was, I don't trust this fucking guy at all. Like, from his first cutscene, Elidibus struck me as kind of like a double speaky snake.
Oh yeah,
and it sounds like you had, like, I feel comfortable saying that because it sounds like you're kind of getting the same impression of him the way he talks to bars. Like, he kind of dodges the question.
I've always thought that. Like,
there was something about him that I didn't like. I'm putting myself in Heavensward brain, and I'm like, I'm doubting it because everyone seems to believe that there's a lot to his words about that he really does care about balance, that he's different than his brothers. What does that, like, mean? And it really made me doubt myself in terms of where I was in Heavensward. So I'm wondering kind of what side you're falling on.
Well, I mean, the other Ascians were always a little bit more direct, and maybe a little bit too much so as far as what they're willing to offer up in their from their mouth. But so it is interesting that Elidibus does pick and choose his words, and kind of just is the subtle hand that guides people to their own destruction, and kind of figuring out these other sources of power. As far as, like, do I trust him? Absolutely not. I haven't trusted an Ascian since they were brought up in this fucking game. And it makes me wonder, like, are there, I don't know, like, his garb being different. I know that it's white as the emissary and everything, but it almost, like, it honestly reminds me of, like, how we're supposed to be, like, led to look at Hydaelyn, right? Like, oh, well, there was balance, and then Zodiark wanted power, so I locked him in a prison and split everything up. And, it's all about balance, and since there can't be balance, then, like, it's just, it makes me think of, like, it's almost like, I don't know. I don't think that, I don't understand why there's a need for a distinction between he and the other Ascians, or how that designation was ever made. I also know that Varys just saw Elidibus's face and is not happy about what he saw, which to me either says that Elidibus is someone that Varys knows, that he didn't know that he knew, or Elidibus had assumed control of someone that Varys knew. But outside of that, like, I'm not. I don't know. It almost just feels like we're being coaxed along toward like our own doom. And I understand, like, obviously that they don't have like a. I mean, I actually, to be frank, I don't know that I really did, because of how the Ascian storyline is kind of fragmented and put throughout the main story. So I guess I don't know if I truly realized that they didn't. I mean, I guess after Ultima. That was like the most defined plan that they have had. Besides now with Elidibus, assumingly taking over Zenos' body. So that's gonna get fucking crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's something that I've thought about, but I'm just not really sure, because I don't know. I don't fully have a concept. Like, I know that when calamities happen, like, we lose one of these worlds, right? Like, I know that that's going on, but I don't know that I fully understand all the consequences of it yet. Or, like, if Elidibus does cause a calamity one more time, like, is that gonna be enough? Like, or is he gonna have to cause like 6 more? Or like, I
still don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
in a way. Because like because like the way they talk about the plan is like, yeah, we'll get all of the pieces of him back together eventually. It'll be fine.
Right.
But there was like a slide in a Square Enix presentation about like the kind of the threats we might face down the road, and it was like, can you survive the 8th and final Umber era? And I'm like, well, what is it? What if if there's an 8th, is it just over? Slide? Like this, I don't want to be specific about anything, so I don't want to give any hints. But okay. There was kind of like a panel they did where we talked about kind of content in general that they were like moving towards, and for some reason, the idea of like calling the potential 8th calamity the final one like really kind of stuck in my craw, because like, is it the last one they need, or is it just the last one the writers planned for, because they're just not gonna
There's two very different things happening there potentially. And that's been like my thing, is that I'm sort of having a hard time understanding, or like trying to predict the long game, because I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the more universal structure and the effect of the calamities and things like that on it. And I don't really have like, I have a lot of notes. I got to go back through them because it's too much to try to remember. But
I mean, obviously, there's the Void Arc, and you're like, what the fuck, So there's just so much shit that's out there that you have to like piece together, to make sense out of everything. And you haven't really add a wonderful span of time where you're like, okay, I could just sit here and try to piece together everything, right?
No, I haven't sat down to try to piece together anything. Like, I've literally just been playing the game.
Yeah, and I mean, there's lots of situations where they, we've gone through the whole life cycle of, we're at this point of the story now, they're promoting the expansion, they're doing this, and they're saying these things with these slides, and we've talked to during Heavensward, they even had lore conversations where they go into some of this stuff and everything else. And it's hard to remember, to be honest with you, when they said this, when they said that, and how that actually relates to...
I have a hard time remembering what they said 15 minutes ago. Like, like a character will say a piece of dialogue, and I read so much fucking dialogue that like I read the sentence and then I like move on without registering what the character even said. And then like 3 sentences later, they refer to it. And I'm like, wait, when did they get that?
Yeah.
And the whole fucking chat is like, 2 seconds ago. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. It's so much.
It is a lot. Quick question, complete super strange tangent. Have you ever played Disco Elysium?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
There's a lot of talking. There's so much. Like, you could literally click on a character and it's 20 minutes of talking to that character.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's a lot of talking.
I'd recommend it. Once you're done with this, right, and you're like, hey, I want something else to do. If you want to get into a kind of crazy story-involved game, Disco Elysium's one for sure.
Hey, are you kind of suggesting that Elidibus wants the Warrior of Light to keep succeeding, by the way? Like...
I am very careful to not imply anything.
Yeah, because if he says anything,
there's open
I'm just, like,
potentials.
you kind of mentioned, like, he kind of, you know, he's like there and he's kind of like, but we're still winning.
In terms of the way you analyze stories, like, this isn't even really like making sure, like, it sounds like you think I'm setting up kind of what to pay attention to. Yeah. And I think the way that I've phrased it, it would be difficult to know which thing to pay attention to in the way that it's coming.
Sure.
So, like, the way I mean it is more close along the lines of the Ascians are originally put forward as this group of, like, immortal ancient mages who have this grand master plan. And how can we ever, you know, with the short time that we've been alive, even comprehend this thousands and thousands of years in the making plan that's been unrolling. And then as we deal with them, we find, well, they had, you know, kind of one plan they were winging in 2.0, and then they immediately pivoted and started winging another plan, and they immediately pivoted and started winging another plan. And so it's like,
they're like unrelenting in that way, but it doesn't seem as solidified as one would expect for something that's so well planned.
Exactly. And then we have kind of Elidibus, who's a little different from scene to scene. You know, he's on the moon, like, well, great, they're
talking
dead.
to Warriors
now
of
this is my
Darkness.
problem.
Like, fuck.
So let's talk about that. What did you think about the Warriors of Darkness and your experience so far?
That was pretty interesting. I mean, obviously they're recognizable pretty immediately. Yeah. But it was cool to, like, I don't know, like, that was kind of one of the first, like, real doses of otherworldliness that you really get in the game that you're able to actually, like, communicate to. Mm-hmm. So, like, the Ascians are very otherworldly, right? But they're not people that we interact with too often, and when we do, we typically don't exchange too many valuable words. So it's interesting that the Warriors of Darkness kind of gave us kind of I guess sort of just kind of like a reflection in a sense of sort of like what we are as the Warrior of Light. As far as like getting to hear about the things that they endured and what led them down the path of wielding darkness on their world. And I like how it starts to set up the idea of, like, maybe, like, using light to solve all of our problems isn't always the answer that people go to. And I think Arbert really drives this home at the end, where he's kind of saying to you, like, it's not the power you wield, it's how you're wielding it. And kind of opens the Warrior of Light in player's mind to the possibility of, like, what if I became a Warrior of Darkness? Or, like, what if that happened to me? Or, like, what if something came to this world that my powers of light aren't that effective against? Like, maybe something has to change, or maybe that's something to consider. So I really quite like the Warriors of Darkness. Now, them going back home with Minfilia, not as happy about that one. I do not trust that thing at all. I saw the key art where the bitch had chains around her legs and shit, and I'm not digging that, dude. Hell no. I do not trust Hydaelyn a second, dude, because Hydaelyn talks about the same kind of shit. Oh, the balance, it's about balance. It's like, yeah, but you don't really do anything that illustrates that to me, Hydaelyn. I don't know that I really believe you. So I really liked the Warriors of Darkness kind of stuff. I did find it annoying how they were always talking shit about us not getting to the primal fast enough. It's like, hey, motherfucker, like that's literally all you do. Like I do other stuff too. So if I'm late, sorry, it's because I was saving a family, okay, from a void sworn, okay. You're just doing the same shit I've been doing. But yeah, overall they were pretty good, and having them kind of revealed to you incrementally was cool, and how they used them to like explain getting the eyes of Nidhogg back was cool, that they're immortal and that they're able to pass into that etheric vortex beneath Ishgard for that reason, and retrieve the eyes, something that mortals would never be able to do. So I liked the use of the Warriors of Darkness, though I fear for their fate on their home world, frankly.
When I saw it, I just didn't know I'm going to be honest. So my perspective is not even close to what your perspectives are. I don't go super deep or detailed into it. I see face level story and I'm like, oh, cool, right? So when that came up and Warriors of Darkness was there, I was just like, what the fuck is this? All right, cool. Light, darkness. All right, I guess that's a thing, right? This is what we're doing. And that was like all I got from that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. To be fair, my first impression was the same as Kryle's. She looks at them like they're just like edgy teenagers for a minute. Like they leave and she just goes, Warriors of Darkness?
Yeah, it's like, is that like a fan group? Like, what is that? Sounds like a fucking... Is that like a band name? What's going on?
But
it'll be
Go ahead. Somebody. I heard both of you were talking. I don't know. it'll
be fun. It'll be fun to be on opposing sides with Pyro for a little bit in terms of how we analyze things, because I've been playing for so long that by the time we got to all these scenes where we're starting to question kind of the assumptions we've got, I had already joined Team Hydaelyn. Not because I think she's like light equals good equals benevolent equals, you know what I mean? Like, just regardless of how things end up, the person in your corner is your friend. And it's more fun to believe in something when you play these games. So my take has been that the doubt came so late into the game. I'll go down with that ship if I have to. I don't care. You know,
like, I'm already in this.
It's fun to have faith. Like,
right.
there were 4 things I kind of put my faith in, and I've got 2 of the 4. If I'm wrong on the other 2 of the 4, I don't care. So it'll be fun to be on the other side of that, because I just like my stance is Hydaelyn loves you and tried her best and probably made some mistakes. Like that's
yeah. I think that'll be fun. I think because for me it's not a praise Zodiac kind of thing either. It's more like I just don't trust either of you, and right. I want to try and find that middle area, because I think that both of them probably have good things to offer, and both of them probably have bad things to offer, and I'm just really scared of one of them getting out of control.
I would be amazed if we make it out of this game with anything happening to one and not the other.
Yeah.
So it's both or neither to me.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's been presented, is like the story is very much about both and the interaction between the two. It's not about just one existing.
Yeah, I'm like, in my head, I know like I'm probably wrong, but at the same time, like every now and then things align in a way where it's just incidental. Like, right. You know, she doesn't need to be a all good benevolent goddess in order to have your back.
No, and typically all benevolent gods are a little bit
especially
crazy.
In Final Fantasy.
Yeah, like Lakshmi is definitely not an example of that. Yeah, just dream with me forever.
I remember coping pretty hard with that art that you're talking about, the chains. Because I was like, oh, that does look a little but like Minfilia, like the thing that kept coming up for me was Minfilia wanted this. Minfilia consented to this. She dove into this. So the idea is like, well, then did Hydaelyn lie to her? So my brain just keeps going. Well, this art is for the whole patch. The chains are just for Alexander. This is just Alexander stuff.
Yeah, that's some wild level copium right there. I saw that and I was like, bindings of servitude. Like,
Had drunk with blue juice.
I just I just got out of a game that was the entire expansion was based on chains. So I came into this one and I see this and I'm like, no, sir. Especially just like there's a literal light crystal in WoW who very much does a similar thing to Illidan and is very much like, this is your chance for your new life. Like, this is your chance to like let go of your scars and like have them be healed, and like this is your chance to be reborn, and this is what you're meant for. Like, this is your destiny, you know, like urging him to do it and being, you know, benevolent, and then when he refused, that's when we got to see the side of that individual become very this is not a choice for you, actually. I'm going to present it as though it is, but it's not. And that's the vibe I get from Heidelin of like, I've literally had such an influence on your life that I've made you believe that this is your destiny, so now here you are. Like, that's my take on it, is like, even if Minfilia agreed, I still think she probably only did that because Heidelin has influenced her life in such a way.
I think it was actually Heavensward that I started to get cocky with it too. No, I'm thinking. No, hold on. I'm thinking back because, like, I can see chat getting like a little nervous, like a little tense. Like, I'm talking about things that matter in future expansions, but I'm like, we need to matter in future expansions.
Yeah,
I'm not giving any hints about
me.
what sides they're gonna fall on. Like, so I remember like in Heavensward is when I actually started to get a little cocky with it, because I had that kind of realization, like, what does Heidelin do when the Ascians aren't kicking her in the shins? Like, yes, they kick her in the shin and she throws nukes, and it's probably bad for the world.
But like, when you don't provoke the beast,
what happens when they don't kick her in the shins? What happens when they're not trying to rejoin, you know, our beautifully broken universe? What does she do? Right. She goes to sleep. She does nothing. So like, I was like, well, maybe that's evidence for me. And then Heavensward got me really cocky when Midgardsormr's like, yeah, I've been here since the beginning. Also, fuck the darkness.
It's like, okay. The Allagons apparently also didn't like the darkness either, so now we've got two motherfuckers that are on this side. It's 2-1 for the Ascians, and it's not going very well.
So it's always fun to have people who analyze things in different ways, especially because, like, I do not give a shit about being right or wrong. I care about finding right. I care about finding right. I want to leave this game knowing we found the answers. I don't care about being right in the moment. I care about having fun in the moment.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, like, honestly, in this story, how it's like starting to boil down is like, I kind of want to know that I'm like, in some aspects, like, there's some like emotional validation that happens where like you really feel a certain way about the game, and like I'll try to like formulate thoughts about how am I going to feel if they pull it out this way. Like, Yatsuyu was a huge example of that, of like this conflict of like someone who can't remember what happened. How do we handle that? Like, there were times where, like, you know, the chat's like, what do you think they're going to do to her? What do you think they're going to do? And I'm like, honestly, I don't even necessarily have a guess, nor do I care about being right on the guess. For me, it's just more of, at the end of this, am I going to feel the way that I think I'm going to feel? Like, are they doing this to me right now? And sometimes I find that when I get to the end of the road in the story, like, I feel a different way. And for me, that's been one of the most exciting things about the exploration in this game. Is for me, it's very much been like an emotional exploration. And they throw it at you in so many different ways, from so many different background characters, from so many different places, that, like, as much as I care about the story and everything, I honestly care more about, like, not more about, but one of the more important things to me is that of like, am I thinking of this? Am I supporting the right person here? Like, that's the kind of stuff that really gets me, because sometimes you agree with yourself, and then sometimes I find myself like, no, like, I regardless of that, like, I still kind of am siding with this person here.
The magic of it for me is, like, regardless of how it plays out, you have spent those months and months and months reflecting on your values and your assumptions and what you're reading into things. Like, you've had this great thought exercise either way.
Mm-hmm. That's what I try to tell people back when I was doing a lot of WoW stuff, because it eventually got to the point where I used to care a lot about being right. And then I just kind of stopped caring. And there was definitely that kind of same thing back in World of Warcraft where it turned more into the videos and in the analysis and stuff wasn't really even about the game anymore. Like it wasn't really about that. Like it was fun that I could do it, but it turned into more about like, how does this stuff apply to my real life? You know, like what am I learning from this? There were definitely things in WoW that changed my outlook and my perception of life. And so Final Fantasy has also done a lot of that. So I totally agree. Even when you're digging deep into the lore aspects and you're getting into that, there is a lot of introspection that has to happen, I would think. So, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I let that one go for a while because I was enjoying that conversation a good bit. But we probably should get into Stormblood now.
Sure.
I feel like this is something that's definitely on your mind.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure we have our correct parameters here. Have you done any of the raid or 24-man, 8-man? Like, what have you done in Stormblood so far?
So in Stormblood, I've just done like the MSQ. So
okay.
The point in the MSQ that I'm at is literally sitting there looking at the 4.4 quest. I just found out that Elidibus is taking over Zenos' body and that Zenos is reborn through some other Alamegan soldier, which was crazy. Just witnessed Yatsuyu's death after she became the Primal, the goddess of the moon, and slayed her brother Asahi. Thank God, because I fucking couldn't stand that little shit. And dude, that's the only way you can make like really fucking dislikable characters a little more likable. Not the only way, but it's one good way. It's just introduce a worse character. Introduce someone that's just more vile and more evil. And you start to look at that and you're like, Jesus Christ, like I'm starting to understand here. Like this little fucker's twisted as well. and the fact like he's obsessed with Zenos. And, yeah, anyway, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
But I haven't done the raids.
So of all the people in this game, that's the one you're glad you never have to see again.
No, him and Teleji Adeleji's up there. But honestly, I was talking about it on my stream yesterday. I was like, you know what this game is kind of doing? It's kind of funny. I used to fucking absolutely despise Teleji Adeleji, but having moved further on in the story and seeing what some of the really fucked up shit people do is, I kind of look back on Teleji and I'm like, yeah, that was kind of like, that wasn't even that bad. It was pretty bad. Don't get me wrong, but like. I mean, I've come across characters that I hate way more than Teleji. And at the time, I thought I've never disliked a character in a video game as much as this. So, that's continued.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're... Oh, no, do you have an agenda
you lead
here?
this conversation way better than... You go.
I mean, if we're talking about morality and debates and perspectives and everything in terms of we're moving on to Stormblood.
Yeah.
Conventional villain analysis would have us try to chart everyone on a kind of a fallacious continuum of pure evil to redeemable.
Sure.
And yeah, that's kind of how like the world wants us to analyze things.
Right.
Going into Stormblood, if you try to look at some of our villains through that lens and get a little passionate, a little complicated.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself more siding with or against Yotsuyu or Fordola?
I definitely sat in the middle on some of those things. You know, I think that Stormblood does indeed do a very good job of presenting it in a way that really makes you think a little bit more and it's not cut and dry. I really felt like Fordola was forced into her situation. Like she felt hers was more a manner of survival. It was a manner of how do we make it to the next day, right? How do we make this occupation of the empire into something? And that doesn't mean that the decisions that she made were just or right. She literally shot a tower, killing her own friends that were there from her since the moment she enlisted in the army. That is a pretty insane thing to do. But did Fordola do that because she's a vitriolic, evil person who wants to inflict suffering on people like Atsuyu? No. She did it because she felt that that's what had to be done to save Alamigo. And again, that doesn't make it right. But it was the backstory that they did for these characters in Stormblood, the echo visions and the accounts from these characters are absolutely fucking fantastic. And they build the characters in a way where like I found myself throughout the progression of the expansion kind of having those moments where I'm like, they're starting to make me feel for Yotsuyu a little bit. Like, I don't agree with her, but I feel sort of bad. And then like later on, I find myself, I'm like, man, this character that I really felt like I'm supposed to hate. Like, there are some redeeming qualities there. And in the end, I liked it because they didn't pull a redemption card with Yotsuyu. Like, in my opinion, she didn't really get a redemption. She just got to settle the score that meant the most to her. And so especially after she lost her memory, I found myself incredibly conflicted because, as I kind of mentioned at the start of the stream, like looking at someone who literally can't recall anything and expecting to just deliver the same punishment unto them that you would give the person before that happened, I think is ridiculous. Like, that can't be the thing. Like, there has to be something more to that. And so I really liked how they found a resolution to it without fucking over the Alamegans or the Domans, and fucking them out of like getting their kind of sense of retribution because Yotsuyu does in fact die at the end, but also not going down the route of just finding some terrible way to punish Yotsuyu and having this already just unfathomably tragic series of events end in yet another tragedy. And I guess when you look at it, like, Yotsuyu as a character is a bit of a tragedy, in a sense. But the end of it was very much like an acceptable closure for me. So as far as the gray goes, yeah, you can't go at it with that one-dimensional look of like the white and the black and how do we adjust the scale between, because sometimes very dark actions truly exist on the better side of morality, and sometimes it's the other way, and that's always been a problem for me in fantasy. And I'll finish the point on this, is that's like you said, the traditional way of the analysis. I'm just thankful that Final Fantasy does it in a way where we can get out of that traditional sense and logically go about it, because World of Warcraft really struggled with that, where it was the community was very, very much black and white, and either you were good or you were evil. And Blizzard tried to explore that concept of the gray morality, and it was almost always a failure. So it was nice to see Stormblood do that.
We talked about that a bit. I think it was the first time that we got together. That was something we talked about a little bit, was kind of the morality and the way they try to justify things and try to get people to see villains certain ways. And right. I was waiting to see what you would think of these two particular people, because if you get to that point where you're analyzing it kind of on the level that you are, they're both great villains in different ways. They both have redeeming qualities in different ways. They both made horrible decisions and are maybe should be held accountable for their decisions in certain ways. But I found myself loving both of them and having a really good time watching people fight each other over which one was which, redeemable versus evil. Yeah. That was just, I had a great time watching that.
Yeah, that definitely was happening in the chat. There was pretty extensive discussion. I mean, there were times where I sat there and talked about it for like 10, 15, 20 minutes with the stream on like, I'm really torn on Yotsuyu. And that was really nice to watch that discourse happen and see differing opinions. And, there's some people that are like, nope, axe her, it's over. Like, she did it. She has to be held responsible. And then there's people that are like, let her live off in the country somewhere, like where no one's going to know, and just let the tragedy end where it has. We don't have to waste another life in this situation. That's how my girlfriend took it. And it was, I should actually just share this with you, because throughout the course of the Yotsuyu storyline, I would just incrementally, I would be just going downstairs every once in a while, and I'd talk to my girlfriend, and every time I went down, I'd give her the update. Like, okay, so this is what's happening with Yotsuyu. Like, this is what she's done. This is where we're at now. She's lost her memory. And I'd pick her brain. I'd be like, what would you do in this situation? Like, given that she's done these horrible things and she's forgotten all this, like, how would you handle it? And getting to even hear my girlfriend's perspective on it was fun, and I really love how the game presents it in such a relatable way that like even people that have no idea about the game universe can like offer input. And so yeah, I by the end of it, and I told my stream this, Yotsuyu is probably so far, she's probably my number one favorite character arc like in the game so far. I would say Ascian is up there as well. And the progression that I've seen through Alphino has been, and also Raban has been really good. But and Estinian also, like, there's so many good characters. But she's in my top 3 easily. Like probably with Ascian, Yotsuyu, and honestly, probably Raban. Or Lisa's up there. Lisa's she's up there.
What about Grinwald? I feel like we're missing him here.
No, listen, that guy's fate was terrible. They turned that guy into a monster, and that honestly made me it made me like sick to my stomach. Like when I saw what the Guardians fucking did to him, I was like, these guys are fucking monsters, dude. Mm-hmm. And they pale in comparison to the Allagons, which is insane to me. But Grinwald was so annoying. Like, but he was like that. He was just like that goofy villain that's like. Right. I'm like, a lot of the Imperial characters are just so, I just don't give a shit about them. Like some of them are really good, but then some of them is just like, God, he's back again. Like he got away again. So
the fight with him in that dungeon was one of the most painful fights I've done. I mean, there's pretty bad ones, but fighting him and hear him like struggle with the voice acting and everything else, like it felt rough.
It was fucked up, dude.
Yeah, it stuck with me. It stuck with me. You know, and I carry his minion around with me. Nice. I'm sad that it has to be the chainsaw mutilated one. And he's just like wandering around the one before.
And the Doom reference is nice, of course. Yeah, that was pretty quickly recognizable. And after he's like rip and tear, I'm like, okay. Yeah. But yeah, it was good, but it was twisted, and it was twisted in such. It just made me uncomfortable. No, I didn't. It was good though, but it made me. Yeah, that's what that was like. Yeah, this. Not a lot of stuff makes me uncomfortable in this game, and this is up there.
Yeah. It makes you feel for things, and I think there's a lot of that in Stormblood, and I think a lot of the negative things people had about Stormblood was just they didn't feel like it held up to what the previous stories were. But I mean, did you feel that at all, Pyro?
Well, and my memory is like partially faded on this because it just feels like it's been so long since Heavensward post or like dot one content or .2 content or whatever. Mm-hmm. .x content, I guess is what they call that. But anyway, I think that Stormblood is really fucking good. Honestly, I think the individual character storylines in Stormblood are pretty damn close to or being on par with some of the ones in Heavensward. Like a Astinian story, I think would stack up pretty well against like maybe Fordola. Or if we were to compare like Yotsuyu, maybe to, I don't know, like Ascian, you know, so just as an example of like how maybe you could compare that. But I thought it was good. My honestly, my only complaint with Stormblood is that it just starts slow. And I think it's a necessity, but it just feels like right after you come out of Heavensward, it's not like the content in Stormblood isn't as good as Heavensward, or like the story isn't as good, in my opinion. It's more about like just the feeling of coming off of this just like crazy shit after crazy shit after crazy shit, whether it is Nidhogg, or whether it's Thornton, or whether it's Shinryu and Ilberd, and having to fucking take on Astinian. Like, we just got hit so hard over and over with such big plot points and big heavy moving parts that when you get into Stormblood, it feels like it comes to a grinding fucking halt. And I think that's what rubs a lot of people the wrong way, is because you just go from like 100 down to like 30, and then you just slowly make your way back up to 100, and by the time you hit like 4.1, 4.2, you're back at 100. Mm-hmm. And I really think that it just so happens that the first impression tends to make the biggest impact, and the fact that the expansion starts slow and through Ruby C feels kind of slow it just takes you kind of back to an experience that I could probably relate to A Realm Reborn. As far as pacing and speed, not as far as quality and execution, but just the pacing and speed of it. And I think that's really the problem. And then the fact that you're stuck with dopey ass Lise for like fucking forever. And don't get me wrong, Lise becomes a way better character. In fact, Lise is one of my favorite Stormblood characters now. I think she's grown tremendously. And I think that she still has a long way to go, but she has fantastic advisors around her that are going to help her get there, like Raban, assuming she doesn't die first. But she got new drips, so she won't die for a while at least. So yeah, I think Stormblood's really good. I think my problem was just the how it started. It just starts slow. It just starts slow.
That does remind me.
Suddenly we're back on the same page.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Suddenly we're back on the same page. Like I never like taking a side in the Heavensward Stormblood war because I think that they have roughly similar strengths, but they put their attribute points in different things.
Yeah, it's just different columns. Like
they both had strengths, they both had weaknesses. I mean, when in terms of storytelling and in who you're traveling with, Heavensward really hooks me with the fact that Nidhogg and Astinian are the same freaking person. Like if you've read into their backstories, it's the same thing. Murdered sibling, dedication to revenge. They're living the
burning hatred.
Yes, they're the same damn person. And it plays into this whole what is the warrior of light? Like, what is the difference between Astinian and Nidhogg? In the end, Nidhogg never made friends. Nidhogg never had faith. And Astinian
was able to let it go.
He put his faith in his comrades and was able to let it go. Yep. And that played for me so well into that idea of the warrior of light coming in and realigning this whole war, where it used to be Ishgard against dragons, and now it's, not nice, but like the constructive people and constructive dragons versus the destructive people and destructive dragons. And I thought that was really awesome. But then Stormblood came in and it wasn't realigning the war in quite that way. It was a completely like the Warrior of Light really had a hard time fitting into that. And I thought that was great because it was human. Yeah. And I think Lise became, for all the shit Lise gets, she became one of my favorite characters as well, because I think she proves Ilberd right. And Ilberd is one of my favorite people in the world to hate. Like that asshole lied to my face twice and I bought it twice. Like
only twice, Ilberd, you know what they say.
Ilberd was like, there's this quest called Traitor in the Midst where you go after the Ivy. And the picture for the quest is Ilberd. And I was like, oh, Traitor in the Mist, Ilberd. He's the guy. He's the traitor. And so we do the quest. And he's like, well, I would rather cut off my own arm than betray a friend. And I'm like, damn, I suspected him. Suspected him. And now I feel bad. I'm sorry, Ilberd. And the scene comes up and he freaking betrays us and cuts off Raubon's arm. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Yep. And then the Griffin comes in and I'm like, that's obviously Ilberd. Yep. And Ilberd's hanging out with Elidibus and he's like, yeah, Elidibus, you actually kind of suck because you use your pawns and throw them away and you lie to them and they don't get anything. I've given my pawns everything they want. And then he throws all his pawns away and they walk away with nothing they wanted. And I was like, you son of a bitch. But Lise in the end proves him right. Because the Alamegans are so resigned to defeat, are so unwilling to do what it takes, are so unwilling to step up and lead, that just by virtue of being the first one to have hope and the last one to quit, she ends up president of Alamigo.
I know. And she doesn't really have any other particular set of skills.
She's the most qualified person, proves Ilberd right. And I love that because I love to hate that fucking guy. You Lise defender, Stormblood defender.
no, and I like how kind of Raban tied into that as well, as far as like kind of being tricked into it and kind of like having that moment where he's like, all right, Ilberd, you fucker, like if this is what you want, then this is what you're gonna fucking get. And then they go through it and they end up succeeding. And Ilberd was such a fuck, dude. such a good character. I really liked the individual stories in Stormblood, and I think again it's apples to oranges, man. It's just trying to compare two different things that have two different messages and are trying to give it to you in two different ways. And I think it's just about seeing it for what it is and finding the value in it, because it's not, you don't have to look very hard, to be honest with you. The expansion's really fucking good. It just gets that initial negative response, which is a shame. But frankly, I was impressed, and I thought that the individual character stories that brought the main narrative together was really, really well done. Okay. So
I got a couple more questions.
Stormblood gets an A from me.
Okay, I got a couple more questions about Stormblood, but I want to ask one that's kind of like a tangent question, not story related.
Sure.
During the whole promotion, hey, Stormblood's coming, all this great stuff, they're like, you used to be able to fly, and that was really big in Heavensward. Now what are we gonna do? Now you're gonna go underwater. How'd you feel about the water?
So I get a little uncomfortable with water.
Oh.
So for me initially, it was not comfortable. You know, you look out across this fucking trench that you can't see to the bottom of, and it invokes fear.
Okay.
And it made me not want to go down there. You know, it made me not want to fucking swim over open water. But then you get down there and you realize the sharks are friendly. They don't even attack you. And like it plays nice, relaxing music generally. So I got to the point where I got a little more comfortable. I'll never stop saying that underwater stuff tends to suck in video games. But I like that I could mount at full speed underwater. So at least there was that.
Yeah.
I like that I didn't have to worry about a breath meter. That was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Though as a warlock in WoW, I never did either, because you can breathe underwater forever. But
I was a druid, so I just turned into a seal.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. It was a curious thing, because I feel like, you know, flying was like the big deal in WoW too. Like in Burning Crusade, they're like, wow, flying crazy, and everyone was like, yeah, this is great. And in Final Fantasy, it did a pretty good job too. And then the water thing just doesn't stick, man. It's just, I don't feel like you could be successful with underwater mechanics in a MMO.
The movement's weird, because you start moving on all axes, and it's like, now you're not just worried about forward and backward and left to right, but you're worried about up and down and the verticality of encounters. And like fighting typically is a fucking disaster when you look at like underwater. Now, and it really wasn't that bad, Frank, because you don't really do any fighting underwater.
You don't do any fighting, right?
No. But it wasn't the worst. Like sometimes it did feel kind of weird to like go underwater because it was faster to move that way. Like I didn't really like that. But whatever.
Okay.
No, yeah.
That was just a random tangent question to kind of derail everything here. So now I will start up, and I want to ask you, because this was the huge thing with Stormblood, was Zenos. And we haven't really talked on him too much as just a character in general. But he's the highlight. So what's your thoughts on Zenos?
Zenos that's a twisted motherfucker. And yeah, that was insane. The fact that his own father was like, I know what my son is. Like, he's a fucking freak. Then you have to ask yourself, like, why did that happen? So Zenos was scary as fuck. Honestly, Zenos scared the shit out of me. Zenos was one of the first characters that I legitimately felt intimidated by. And when the prospect of fighting him arose, I was generally the first one to be like, no, guys, like, let's just get out of here. Like, can we not? Because I don't know how many more times he's going to give us to like entertain the idea of us killing him. Like he might get bored. So, the progression of his character was, I mean, his character kind of mostly stayed the same. He just got more scary as it went along. The way that he manipulated Yotsuyu and basically let Doma fall and let that whole thing fail is just like speaks to how fucked up of a guy he was. I don't know, dude. Like, he was really cool. He was cool, and the final confrontation with him was cool. I was not expecting the ending that we got with him offing himself, and I certainly was not expecting what happened after that. But I also kind of like how they used him to bring back Shinryu, because at the end of the day, they're the same thing. They're just beings of pure violence. And I kind of started to recognize that as things went along. And I think Zenos even mentions that as far as like, you start to get the understanding. Literally, the only thing that this guy values in his life is like the feeling of almost dying and fighting strong motherfuckers. Like this guy just decided one day that he would challenge the greatest monk that ever lived on a whim, because that's what he didn't even know the guy was there. So, yeah, there's some crazy ass stuff with Zenos, and overall a good uncomfortable villain.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do say that he's like kind of just a one-dimensional character where he's just like always the exact same thing. He's just chaos, kill, murder, and that's just all he is.
Sure.
Which is a little bit different than what we've experienced with a lot of other characters and villains and stuff in Final Fantasy XIV.
Right. Well,
do you find that as a bad thing?
No, because I think part of that is just another illustration of what Shinryu was. I mean, it didn't really have like the ulterior, like the deeper motive or any of those things. It was more like this thing is literally just a manifestation of hatred and violence, and it felt like Zenos was kind of like filled in that spot where Shinryu wasn't present during the expansion, and then they were brought together at the end, and it really kind of it was a very much another like Estinian next to Nidhogg kind of thing. Of like you put Shinryu next to Zenos, and well, they're not really that different as far as what they are. So I found that he carried through the representation of what that primal really was decently well. But I guess I could agree that like he was pretty much the same the whole time. But then again, Zenos, unlike a lot of other characters, wasn't really presented with a lot of reasons to change. And with how twisted he was at that point, you know, it's one of those characters that's kind of maybe this guy might just be so far gone that there's not a lot of character development to happen. Like this guy's at the end of what he is. This is what he's become. And the fact that he only ever shows any type of change in thought process or like feeling when he's literally about to die, like that goes to show you that there was no room for Zenos to develop. That was the final thing for him was dying.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it threw me off a lot when he cut his throat. That was just weird. Like I just like for some reason that was not what was going to happen in my head, right?
Same. Yeah, that I was expecting like, but then again, I mean, I guess that could be the point. Like not every conflict has to, and I think it was also another thing where like after the fight, it's another one that you don't celebrate. I think I've noticed that more and more, like the party or like the player character not celebrating victories as much. Maybe I'm tripping, but there's been a couple times where like victory music didn't play because it like wasn't really a victory.
Right.
I can't remember if Zenos is one of those or not, but it might have just gone straight to cutscene. But that's not what I was expecting either. I kind of expected he'd literally go down swinging.
Yeah,
but they wanted to take that another direction.
Any thoughts you want to throw in about Zenos?
I don't know. Kind of like my thoughts on Zenos during that whole saga didn't evolve very much.
Same. Yeah.
I felt like the first impression I got going into Stormblood was that we were going to step away from a lot of the metaphysical stuff for a bit, the inhuman stuff for a bit.
Yep.
We're going to put Heidelin and the Ascians on hold, and we're going to fight this very dirty, gritty, gray human war, and we're going to be stuck without those guiding principles and values for a bit. And there's going to be some growing pains as this story tries to figure out what it is and where it's going. And I felt that as long as we weren't dealing with the metaphysics and we were dealing with the gritty human and we were trying to figure out where this story was going, it makes absolute sense that you want just some cold bastard that everyone can get behind hating for a bit to make the story, you know, uncomplicated in that one regard, because so much else is in motion right now. So Zenos in a way made sense to me at the time, and looking back, I'm trying to think if anything has evolved in some ways. Like we know a lot more in terms of, I'm trying to think of ways to dance around.
Because Zenos is still actively in the story for you, Pyro, right?
No, not really.
No, I guess you're right. Not really.
Well, I mean, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. If we're talking about his, yeah.
Because you went through that whole scene in 4.3.
Yeah.
Because I remember you saying that.
Yes. Yes. He
Okay.
Yes, he was reborn. I think maybe maybe like Elidibus gave him the echo or some shit, or maybe they just used their soul transfer tech. I don't know how they did it, but
So we are at a part in the story where there's like a body walking around and a Zenos walking around.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I can work that into it, I think, because I'm trying to figure out like kind of how my view of him evolved in terms of, we know that his upbringing was, I mean, look at Vara's, like, right? He was raised by Vara's. So if he combined those two things, he's very naturally gifted, he's very powerful, he's never really had a challenge, and he was raised by Vara's. So why wouldn't he find a very strange allure to the first person to ever give him a challenge?
True.
In a way, that's the first person to ever give him an opportunity for growth. That's the first person to ever give him what he actually wants out of life. He sees opportunity here. So why wouldn't he have kind of a weird conflicted relationship with this person? So like, my friend, my enemy.
Right.
So when I think about it that way, because it evolved so little, when we see that his soul is still wandering around there, my first thought was just, why? His death was perfect, and I don't understand him any differently. Why is this a good idea? Why? What are you building towards that's better than that death?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Like, I guess what are they going to do with this character? Like, maybe there is more room for growth. That happens there. And maybe existing in a shell a little different than his original one maybe brings that humility out of him a little bit more. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to see. And I'm very excited because it also means Elidibus is making some kind of crazy fucking moves right now. Like, I'm not really sure what the plot point is there, but Varys has bought into it, and we're gonna find out what's gonna happen. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm curious to find out, like, what if he already knows, or what happens if Zenos finds out what did happen to his body? Like, does Zenos know that Elidibus took his fucking body and that his dad's okay with it? Is he aware of those things? Maybe, maybe not. And how is Zenos gonna fucking react to that if he finds that out? I don't know. So I'm excited to find out what does happen with that, because I didn't get it until like they get into the line where Zenos, where you get to the line where they're like, if you haven't realized it by now, this is where you realize it. And he talks about like continuing the hunt, and I'm like, no fucking way, that's Zenos, dude. So I'm very excited to see what comes of it.
Well, I mean, we don't have to dance around like that, because I know you're right there at 4.3. We don't have to like dig too deep into that just to avoid any kind of slip ups or anything. Unless, if Moose, you have something that you feel is extremely important about that.
Extremely important. Yeah. I think I got to the main part, is just the conflicted relationship, the lack of evolution on that front, and the idea of where could this be going that was better than his death. Like, what could they possibly build him into that was better than that death? And I think the answer to that question is probably one of the more meaningful things I wanted to think about and look for, because I was much like Yotsuyu, I was very frustrated to see him not just dead. And I was lost following Yotsuyu for a bit, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised to see that her story looped back around to where it started and punched you again harder. Yeah. And like, I liked that a lot. So like, my mind is always very open. Like, I think this game has very talented writers, but that's a question that I have, is what is better than his death?
Mm-hmm. And is that a question that you still have?
Well, that's
would I answer that question?
I guess. Oh, I guess that. Yeah. Sorry, I guess this is your thought process at the time.
I have moved Heavensward brain to Stormblood brain, and whether that's Shadowbringers brain, who knows? I'm very careful about that. I try to be very careful about that.
Yeah. We don't want to like do anything, because I mean, you could
It was one other thing, and I can't remember it, so just go.
It's fine. No, like, you could hyperanalyze every single word we said, and maybe you might be able to pull something from something. But I think overall, we've done pretty good. I don't know. So we've had a couple of conversations before, this show, a couple of shows. Has anything that we said been like, oh fuck, I wish he didn't say that, or anything like that, Pyro?
No, not really. No.
I just remembered the thing that I was going to go back for.
Sure.
You pointed out that there was that line that, like, if you haven't realized it yet, in one of the earlier lines, like, hey, you might recognize or you might not. He alludes to the fact that it was that he had the echo copied over him so that he could merge with Shinryu that allowed him to survive, and he didn't intend it at all.
Oh.
So he was like, he intended to take, he makes a stage metaphor. He intended to take his final bow, and now he's here for an encore. And he's like, well, what?
Right. I remember him saying the final bow thing. So, okay. So he unintentionally survived because of the echo.
Right. Because he has that resonance of,
he still's got like the
presumably Kryle's echo.
Right. Like this kind of copy echo thing.
They never really cleared that up for me.
Oh really?
There are signs that he had magic pretty early on, but I mean, it could have just been enchanted swords or special techniques or something.
I was gonna say pretty sure the first time we fight him, he's like using
something. Yeah, is it the sword or is it him?
He like lights up red, like it looks like a Super Saiyan. I'm pretty sure, but then, or he uses thunder or something.
And then when he's in Doma, he gets that call that Shinryu's been found, and he's like, well, fuck this. I'm done pretty much everything Dad asked me to do. Close enough. Nailed it. I'm out of here. I'm going to go pick up this primal. And then he lands back in Alamigo, and as he lands, Fordola shows up with Kryle like, hey, I got that thing you ordered. So that says to me that, like, he didn't yet have Echo.
Right.
And then they found the primal that he wanted to merge with. So he had Kryle kidnapped. So it's presumably Kryle's echo on him. And then he was just like, yeah, throw Fordola through too. This will be hilarious.
Let's just see what happens.
But like, I think when they explain the purpose of the machine to Fordola, they don't talk about the echo at all. They talk about magics. So I think there's a possibility Zenos went through it twice, but like, I still don't know. Like that's one thing I don't understand about the Stormblood story still.
I think they kind of like initially acknowledge that it's the genome manipulation to allow non-magic wielders to wield it, but then the echo thing ends up being like a secondary thing about it that we didn't know that they could do.
Yeah, happy side effect if you throw the right person in the thing.
And that was like, yeah, that was like, it's very confusing. Not very confusing, but like for me, it was kind of that kind of whole aspect of the story did kind of stick out as kind of like weird. Of like, I don't think that I don't really get what this is doing, how this works, or how you develop this technology or whatever, but the enhancements that it gave definitely scared the shit out of me until I started to see the repercussions of
to give you an idea like how wrong I can be sometimes. I thought the dude who made the machine was Elidibus the whole time.
I mean, there's been like, you thought it was him in disguise?
Yeah, I thought when he walked out from behind the throne and had the white jacket, I was like, bam, there's Elidibus, which means all this other stuff is La Habrea.
When I saw Asahi, I was like, yeah, he wears a white and red jacket and he calls himself an emissary. That's fucking Elidibus. Like, so it's not. I've been there too, or like it was something in Heavensward. I think I can't remember what it was, but I kept saying like the whole fucking time, like I think it's Elidibus, or no, I think it was no, it wasn't the Masked Stranger. No, that was a different thing. But I've been there before, specifically with Elidibus.
Asahi got me too, because by that time Alice was dead, and I was like, oh, okay, so he's moved on. Like,
right. I was like, I don't know about this. But yeah, okay. Been there.
Well, we got just a few more minutes here, and then we'll probably wrap up the show. We did hit a lot of points about this, and it's always a fucking blast to have you on. But I do want to know, Pyro, where you're at right now, kind of what we're not going to answer any of your questions or anything, or respond to your thoughts in any way. But I want to know what's going through your head right now. What are you looking forward to? What are you hoping for going into the future of the rest of the story? Because the next time we talk to you, you might be either starting or ending Endwalker, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, the things that I'm looking forward to most right now is finding out what Elidibus's plan is and what is it that's supposed to come to fruition. Is it, you know, I'm interested in learning what sets him apart. I know, unfortunately, I got a little bit of a spoiler, so I know that I don't know if it's Stormblood content. I don't know if it's Shadowbringers, but I know that we're going to get some pretty important Ascian stuff here really soon that I think is probably going to swing open the doors on the Ascians a little bit. But we'll see. I'm really excited to figure out like the whole primal thing still, because like I mean I get how they're made, I get what they come from and all that stuff, but like I guess I still don't really understand like why they're a thing and like what happened to the originals, right? Because these are all just shades of things that used to be. So like what happened to the originals, and how does Zodiark tie into it? And you know, why are primal summonings yeah, like I don't know. There's a lot in that I'd like to learn, because again, my focus is always generally has always been like the grander scope. So those are I mean, I'm excited to find out what happens with the Crystal Exarch and Crystal Tower. I have no idea contextually what any of that means. But I know about Grahatia and him becoming a Crystal Exarch and a Scion. Unfortunately, those things were both spoiled for me. So I do know about that. I'm excited for that, though, because I thought that Grahatia was going to end up being a bad guy, but we can end up, I mean, who knows? That could end up being a thing that we explore.
So I do want to mention something on that real quick. I mean, through that whole spoiler and everything, when they were announcing Shadowbringers and all this stuff, they were pretty fucking on, like, they weren't like, it felt like they really weren't hiding some things. Like you go into it and there's certain things they show you while they're trying to promote the next expansion. You're like, I know exactly who the fuck that is. So like, everyone who kind of knew lore or story probably felt spoiled before the expansion came out.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, I haven't watched any of that stuff because there's like, I heard there's like spoilers and like everything. Like even if you watch like patch trailer fucking shit, that there's hints and spoilers and stuff. And people are like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, well, maybe not for everybody, but like if I read that, maybe it's a big deal. Like, I don't want to fucking, you know, I don't want to figure it out before it comes. It's not fun at that point, but not as fun.
I mean, it's unfortunate. But, it really is unfortunate that kind of stuff happens. But I mean it's, in the end, it's like a 10, 11-year-old game, and it's hard. It's hard.
And people do a pretty good job of, like the community generally does a really good job of protecting against spoilers. That's kind of always been the case. You know, so it is what it is. But I think again, like figuring out like what's happening with the Crystal Tower, figuring out where this threat of light comes from or darkness comes from. I don't know. I'm just excited to see what the fuck happens. I just want to see angels descend from the sky and destroy them with darkness. That's all I care about. That's all I give a fuck about. So
we'll
see. We'll see.
Well, I'm excited for you to get into it as well, and I'll be following along, trying to keep up to see your reactions as well, because that's wonderful. Are you doing more voices, by the way? How are you doing with your voice acting?
Just kind of continuing on doing my thing. I got an offer from a voice acting company to do an audition for a thing, but Twitch just pays way too much money. Like it's just it's genuinely just not worth my time. Which is kind of weird to say. But other than that, everything's been going well. Just kind of
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, that being said, Moose, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we end the show? Any other little thoughts you want to throw out there?
None,
be safe.
None that would be advisable.
Yeah, okay. I feel like that's what he says every time at the end.
None that would be advisable. That's fair. That's fair. And I also avoid chat questions during these kind of shows too.
Oh, sure.
Just because I'm I feel like I could ask a question. To me, it's like, oh, that's not a spoiler, but then it really is somewhere hidden in there. But we'll come back. We'll come back onto all this stuff later on and have these conversations. And there's so much that's going to be going on that we have to talk about with a new expansion and all the hype and craziness. And good luck. Please avoid as much social media as you can.
I don't even go on social media anymore.
There you go, dude.
Thank God.
Because it's going to be fucking crazy. But yeah, no, let's go ahead and do our little final shout outs, final words, all this great stuff. And Moose, if you don't mind, if I start with you, kind of where people can find you, and any last words you want to say, all that great stuff.
Jeez. Okay. Twitter at AnonymousXIV. I'm lurking around the forums a lot. I haven't posted as much lately, but I'm still lurking around. You can find me in Gamer Escapes Discord, most Discords with a lore room. I've been trying to set up streaming so that I can do Endwalker live just to see how I like it, how I feel about it. I've never really done any streaming before, but I'm going to give it a shot just to see how I like it and if I can do it, and we'll see where that goes. But other than that, just thanks for having me back on for another one of these, and for the opportunity to hang out with Pyro. Dude, you've got a really fun perspective that you bring to the game. I love chatting with you. I hope we can do another one when you get to the next big milestone.
4.4, right? That's
the next one.
Yeah, it's the big one. It's the big one, right?
Yeah. All right, Pyro, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me on. Thanks for coming again, Moose. Good luck with streaming. I hope you find it fun. That's the most important thing.
So too. Thank you.
No, it's great to be on here. I think it's like the third time. And you guys were again among two of the first people to talk to me and give me the opportunity to speak not only to you guys but to people who watch you and care about the things that you do and say. And so I really appreciate the opportunity. And I have a lot of people that come to the stream that say that they came from MogTalk. So
it's still crazy to me, man. Insane.
Yeah. So it does mean a lot to me, and it means a lot that someone like you guys and Moose are so welcoming to people like me, and even as far along as we've come, I really appreciate that. There's not ridiculous high expectations of things that I should know or shouldn't know, and you guys just do a good job of making me think a little bit more on things. So thank you. As far as where to find me, twitch.tv/pyromancer. That's the main place. youtube.com/pyromancer. And then I have a Discord that you can find on either of those pages. And you can join that and chat with us. We have like 3,000 people in there, and private channels for subs and stuff where people can hang out. So yeah, those are all my things. Those are my
awesome,
things.
Dude. That's awesome.
Thanks.
But yeah, no, you've been a blast to have on here, and it is really refreshing to hear your perspective. It's not something I was planning for ever when, planning shows going into Endwalker. I wasn't like, hey, we're going to have this show where we go through to a player's experience as they go through the story. And it's been awesome. It's been actually one of the most loved MogTalks that we have here are these kind of shows that we're bringing you on for.
Awesome.
So I appreciate you coming on for that and making that happen. I appreciate Moose being over here to kind of help with the conversation with his immense knowledge. Oh,
by the way, Moose.
And I will be.
I'm still fucking taking them.
You're still doing it in my hand.
Still taking them. I have one.
I love it.
I have one for each expansion. This one's about halfway full right now for Stormblood.
Mine is still searchable text files. We're just
probably way more efficient.
Do you have one for Shadowbringers, and you have one that it has the promotional art on it?
So someone sent me this one for Endwalker.
Oh,
someone from work to game. So this is one of the media pass items.
I'm not sending you anything anymore. That's it. Fuck. I just God damn it.
And then I do have one with the logo for each expansion on the front of it. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, no, I was I had it in a box here. It's yeah, I'm not going to use it. I'll send it to Pyro. Now fuck work the game, asshole. Messing up everything.
Well, thanks for the thought.
Yeah. But all right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up here. It's been a blast again. Thank you to all the mods, the people who support the show, everyone that's out there that makes MogTalk happen. I do need to let you all know we won't be doing a show for at least 2 weeks here. Because next weekend is going to be one of the most pressure-filled weekends I've had with just personal stuff in life. So we're not doing that. Then the expansion comes out, and I'm going to be playing the expansion the weekend after that because it just came out. So maybe the weekend after that, we will actually have another show. But just hang tight for all that. Again, big shout out to Carrara, my wife, who is putting up with all my bullshit. Thank you to literally everyone. I guess that's it. Yeah, let me play my exit video. You guys can, it's a Patreon support video. Watch that for a little bit. We'll do a host here. And then everyone have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody. Everybody say bye. Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching the show. Still Snowman here. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to kind of set up anything else. I hope this isn't too crazy. I know this doesn't even look like it's working right, but I do want to take the time out, even if horribly, to thank the people who do support the show and everything that I do through Patreon. I have a few organizations that help out. Ankh Morning, which is a great raid PvE resource. If you need to go to a website, find out guides, it's a great place to go. Teamcraft, also a wonderful website that you can use for crafting. Then there's Phase Temperance, which is a great organization that puts on events for the PvE community. Now, outside that, we have some just outstanding people who just support the show. Dude, it's Antonio, D Fury, JJ, Little Dude, Megan C, Mr. Dan, Nami, Nuradia, Psyche, and Dirk. All thank you so much for everything you do. It's way more than I deserve here, especially if you look at this avatar and how it's functioning. But I again want to thank all Patreon supporters and everyone who makes this show happen. We will be seeing you next time. Remember, stay frosty.